Shalom, shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere king. And it's your brother Bawan back again with another video. And basically, what I'm going to go into is a little history, a little origin, a little bit going into smoking, okay, and that's going into all the forms of smoking, cigarettes, weed, whatever you want to call it, okay, the smoking in general. So maybe what I should do first is just get the word smoking in the dictionary so you can have an idea of what that word actually means, because you hear it a lot. Okay, and let's just qualify it. So smoking definition, okay. I've actually done a video on this before, but I decided to just do it again since Esau was so nice and so generous to delete my main channel where I actually uploaded that video. Had a lot of wonderful videos there, a lot of edification through the spirits. But Esau being the devil, okay, the envy of the devil, when the truth starts coming out, it's so hot. Esau cuts it at the butt, okay. This is the word for smoke. This is not what I'm looking for. It should be a little bit lower. Smoking. Yes, it's not here. Yes, it's not here. Okay, so I'm not going to. I have to look for that smoking and not smoke. It says smoking here, but it's not smoke. That dictionary is doing anyhow. Okay, let me just use the front page. Okay, front page. Alright, let me just use this one, the medical dictionary. Okay. So this is the definition of the word smoking. Smoking is the inhalation of smoke of burning tobacco encased in cigarettes, pipes, and cigars. Casual smoking is the act of smoking only occasionally, usually in a social situation or to relieve stress. A smoking habit is a physical addiction to tobacco products. Many health experts now regard habitual smoking as a psychological addiction to and one with serious health consequences. So smoking is, basically burning tobacco herbs, okay, and inhaling that smoke, okay. And people do it using cigarettes, using pipes and things like that, so on and so forth. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the history concerning that actual smoking, okay. And this is a too long didn't watch, TLDW, too long didn't watch. Basically, the history of smoking is going into the Americas, okay, when Cristobal Colon, okay, first discovered America and he saw the Northern Kingdom, okay, the men of the Northern Kingdom using tobacco and smoking it in their shamanic and pagan rituals, and he decided to carry that to Europe, and that's where the smoking originated, okay, and it got popular in Europe because the Europeans carried it to Asia and China. It got popular in Asia and China as well. The Europeans carried it to Africa. It got popular in Africa as well. And that is the origin of smoking, okay? The modern day smoking as we know it. And our people, the gatherers that were in the Northern Kingdom, where they themselves got it from us, from the Elamites, okay? Because you go into the history, you know, the Elamites were also involved in the smoking of weed, okay? It's like I got that stunned. It's like I turned that around. They're actually involved in the using of weed as incense, okay, inhaling it, But when these Megadites, they brought out this whole smoking thing. That's when you have these Elamites smoking the weed, you're smoking the cannabis, okay. That's the actual name for the herb. Like got involved in smoking the cannabis after, okay, Christopher Columbus took it to Europe, and the Europeans took it to Africa and Asia and all other regions. Then they started using it, smoking it through pipes and so on and so forth. But before that time, smoking was basically considered burning of incense. And that's basically what we're going to go into, because smoking truly to it in its core is a pagan practice. And that's why we always tell you Akiam, okay? We always tell you people that are in this, you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the elect that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Not only is smoking unhealthy, but it also goes back to pagan worship. Okay, it goes back to the practices of the heathen, which are, of course, Jeremiah 10, verse 2. You already know what the scripture says. Learn not the way of the heathen. Okay, so now let's continue on. the history of smoking. We'll read a little bit of this article, and I have a couple of more to go into. And I actually have the video I wanted to show, but the Lord willing, we'll get all that to the history of smoking. Sure, we love smoking cigars, but the style of cigar we enjoy today is traced back to about the 10th century AD. The first evidence of tobacco being smoked, however, was found as early as 4000 BC in shamanistic rituals in the Americas. It is possible smoking began with cannabis and other hallucinogens in social settings and religious ceremonies from a water pipe or hookah in the Middle East and in the South American Andes way back in 5000 BC. So just like I said, the Elamites, originated the idea of smoking, okay, or inhaling, incense, or this burning of dry herbs and then inhaling the incense. And then God took that with them when they went to the Americas, okay, and you can read about the story of how and the reason why, the Gadites, or the Northern Kingdom, Slovakia, went to the Americas in the scriptures, okay, specifically Second Esdras. So anyway, continuing on. Such uses of smoke probably originated with the burning of incense, just like I said, okay. Basically, the idea of smoking a cigarette goes back to burning incense. Whenever you smoke, it's basically a practice of burning incense to your God because, you burn incense as, in a way to, you burn incense as part of your prayers, okay, part of the ceremony, okay, part of the yeah, they are basically that is ceremony concerning the worship of your, whatever deity, whatever so-called God you serve, okay? Even we as a people, okay, when we are in the Holy Land, we did our sacrifices, we did our services, okay? We burnt incense to the Most High, how about Hashem Yahushai, in righteousness, of course. That means what? You burn it on a candle, you don't inhale the smoke, you know, Anyway, continue on. The Aztecs even had a goddess whose body consisted of tobacco and priests who performed sacrifices while wearing tobacco gods. Such rituals, European explorers reported, were not likely limited to tobacco, as the native priests seemingly seemed highly intoxicated from smoke intake. Okay, but did you ever wonder how anyone came up with the idea of smoking anything in the first place? Okay, as basically going into the history of smoking and how it began. It originated in the Americas, rather the modern day idea of smoking. Okay, originated when it originated in the Americas. The first people, the first Europeans to come into America, Cristobal Colon and his crew, when they saw how the native Indians perform their practices, okay, and they are smoking of tobacco, which of course these are all going, tobacco, in the cannabis, so on and so forth, are all going into medicinal herbs, okay. But these are not smoking it, okay, burning it and inhaling the gas, inhaling the smoke, and even incense, is medicinal as well. But it is being used, you know, in the incorrect way, okay? Because even the scriptures tell you about that there are correct and incorrect ways to use the herbs that were created by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, to use these different, natural, to use these different things that were created on the earth, okay? That's why the scriptures say to the good, all things are pure, okay? So continuing on, the burning bush theory. I'm just going to read this a little bit and going to jump into the next article. It is likely that before tobacco was ever smoked, it was eaten. Perhaps as many as 18,000 years ago, early man was hungry and didn't know what was safe to eat. It. Historian Ian Gately has written that the basic approach was eat it and then find out if it's safe. Gately theorized based on research by anthropologists that the magic smoke of tobacco was discovered accidentally, as so many great things are, by a tired or injured human resting near a burning bush of tobacco. And basically, what this is going into is how Esau Edom did his things, when he was in the valley of the mountains of Caucasus or Caucasus Mountains in Georgia, Russia, the only way he could figure out whether things were safe to eat or not. And that's why the scriptures tell you that his food was mallows and juniper roots. So the only way he could figure out what was safe to eat or not was trial and error. Eat it, or if you don't die, it's not safe to eat. And that's how these devils operate. But the rest of the civilized world, okay, you know, they understood what was safe to eat because of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and he had given those instructions all the way from the time of Noah, and it was passed down generation to generation up until this day. Okay, because you want because you people out here, okay, both you heathen and you Israelites as well, you want out here picking up different foods and trying them to see which one was safe or not. Okay, that knowledge was already given to us by Yahweh Hashem Yahshua. Okay, all the way from Adam. You read the scriptures, it tells you that the Most High gave Adam, and let me see if I can get that, every head bearing seed, something along those lines. Like, I've forgotten how it goes, so that's why you have to go into the scriptures to get it. That should be Genesis, the second chapter. So the Most High gave Adam the knowledge of what was safe to eat and what was not, okay, and what was clean to eat as well, okay, because you still had the law of the I think, yeah, I believe it was either Adam or Noah. You still had the law concerning um it's like the dietary law. That's what I was thinking about. Just the dietary, you still had the dietary law during that time. So this is the book of Genesis, and let me jump down a little bit. I'm looking for that where you got that Adam. Where you're looking for? That's what I'm looking for. It should be here, either Genesis 2 or Genesis 3. Okay, Genesis 3. So this is the book of Genesis 2, verse 15. And the Yahweh of power took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And Yahweh of power commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. Okay, so you had trees that are made by the Most High, and He gave the instruction to men. Okay, these are the trees you can eat. These are the trees that you can't eat, and you see what happens when you disobey the instructions of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You will only find death, because at the end of the day, that was what happened when they ate of that tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They found death, okay? And after the scriptures tell you that, from the woman came the beginning of death, okay? I believe that's how it goes. Or rather, from the woman came the beginning of sin. Yeah. From the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all died. Okay. So now let's continue on. Genesis, that should be either the seventh or the eighth chapter. Okay, I think it's the eighth chapter. Because the Most High said the same thing to Moses and his descendants, of what they could eat and or the same thing. Let me just see if I can find that real quick. Don't want to start looking for it too far. Here it is. So this is the book of Genesis 9, and I'll start from verse 1. And the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all these fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things, but flesh with life thereof, which is blood thereof, ye shall not eat, and surely your blood of your lives will I require. Okay, that's going too far. So basically, you see right here again, the Most High is giving you the dietary law, what you can, what you can't eat. Okay, and this Genesis 9 verse 3 is in permission for you to go and eat whatever you want, because even during this time, even during the time of Noah, you still had a dietary law. Okay, this is going into the clean and unclean beast, because you have to remember what was the reason why the Most High had Noah put seven animals of seven of the clean beasts inside the ark, but yet two of the unclean beasts instead, because there is a difference. There was a distinction between what is clean and unclean during that time. because the scripture says in the book of Romans that the law hath dominion over men for as long as they live. And this is the same thing as well as going into this burning bush theory. So, no, you want picking food from the ground and trying to figure out what was safe to eat and what wasn't. That knowledge had been passed down from the Most High, from Adam, from Noah, from generation to generation to generation, constantly, okay? And all peoples on the earth knew that, But this devil, this profane vagabond, okay? This is what he was doing when he was, during those 1,000 years of him being shut up in the Caucasus Mountains, okay, in the dark, bottomless pits. Where basically was going through the same thing that Nebuchadnezzar was going through, okay, which is his mind was changed from the mind of a man to the mind of a beast. Okay, and you can read about that in the book of Job. I believe that is that basically the book of Job. Okay, not really going to go into that because trying to focus on the main theme. Okay, so continuing on, the earliest form of smoking tobacco in North America was done with a pipe. The heat from the pipe was sometimes used to physically seal written peace treaties between native tribes and European settlers, giving rise to the misnomer "peace pipe." In the Caribbean, Mexico, Central and South America, rudimentary forms of rolled tobacco leaves were among the more popular forms of smoking and the early forms of the cigar. Those other European visitors took tobacco back to the Old World in the late 15th century and popularized recreational consumption of tobacco, again mostly in the form of pipe smoking. And this is where you get all your forms of smoking from, whether it's a cigarette, whether it's a cigar, whether it's a pipe, okay? Even the crack smoking, and all of this goes back to the Northern Kingdom, okay, doing it, in the land of Babylon the Great and being seen by the Europeans, and they emulated that, okay, and it of course once again goes back to the Elamites, okay, doing it, and the Northern Kingdom actually learning from them, So all your forms of smoking goes back to pagan worship because what you're basically doing is you're burning incense to pagan gods, okay, whether you know it or not, the practice goes back to pagan worship, and that's why the scriptures tell you. And let's go to that as well. That should be Jeremiah 10, verse 2. Jeremiah 10, verse 2. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. That's why the scriptures, that's why, that's why we in this truth, okay, the men of the Lord, the men of the great millstone teach that smoking is a sin against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, because not only once again is it bad for your health, but it goes back to pagan worship. And we know what the scripture says concerning, following after the ways of the heathen, especially the gods of the heathen, okay, and their practices as well. And not, and we're you people out here, okay, you jakes out here that still go out there smoking, talking about, well, smoking is not in the law. There's no scripture that says thou shalt not smoke, but you are following after the ways of these heathen. They are doing their same practices, the same thing that kicked us out of the Holy Land, because I can get this exact same precept in the law, basically, okay, that we should not learn the ways of the nations that are around about us. And the Most High also said that as well, okay. So we'll continue on. I have another article here, basically going into the same thing. And this is when I want to get, for all you people that say, well, I don't really smoke cigarettes, I don't really smoke tobacco. So, all I do is I'm on that weed, bro. Weed is life, weed is this and that, okay? Weed gets you closer to the Most High, and Jake will make all kinds of excuses just so they can keep taking that drag of that bud, man. And I will say this as well, it's not like it's not as though the only people that smoke weed are the people in Babylon, because and there are the jigs even here in Nigeria, man. Hell, even as I was walking back from market, okay, I even smelled some of I even smelled some of that weed, man. They were smoking it in the market, and weed smoking has gotten so popular here in Nigeria. Like, even me, I can actually recognize the smell. I know like I'm somewhere that's out there in the streets like that, that knows, the ins and outs, and knows what's going on, okay? I'm an indoor man, okay? I stay at home and don't do anything, I don't come outside, but even I can recognize that smell, man, because, Jake out here is doing this shit recreationally now. But this is where smoking of weed, okay, cannabis, ganja, kush, whatever you want to call it, this is where it goes back to, and this is who it goes back to. Whenever you puff up, you light that incense, put it between your lips, inhale and exhale, drag. This is who you are doing it in commemoration of Shiva, a Hindu god, okay, an Elamite god, which of course I should just say idol instead. Anyway, continuing on. For centuries, ganja in other forms has been taken in India. According to the Vedic books, ganja, which is cannabis, is believed to be one among the five most divine plants. And that's the reason why, this weed is heavily revered in Indian culture, in Hindu culture, and also in Rastafarian culture as well, because all that Rastafarianism is an extension of the Hindu culture. Okay, so you have the dreadlock, which is a Shiva Jata, and I don't know if you can see it in this Shiva image right here, but he's on dreads as well. Okay, this picture that you see right here of this so-called deity or this so-called idol called Shiva, he's on dreads as well. Okay, dreadlocks is not our culture. It's not the culture of you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. It is the culture of these Elamites, okay? And it also goes back to this same god right here, Shiva. That's why you have Rastafarianism. That's why they consider weed to be a holy divine plant as well. They consider the cannabis, okay, to be a holy divine plant as well. Which I will say this, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, cannabis is evil, weed is evil. Don't touch that. Don't even look at itself or anything like that, okay? Like I said before, and I'll bring other precepts, to the pure, all things are pure, okay? There is no, even Esau can't deny the health benefits of cannabis, okay, of weed, okay, when taken, but just don't smoke it, all right? That's the main point, the roots, the leaves, all parts of it, their medicinal properties can't be denied, okay? But the thing we're talking about here is the actual smoking of it, because once you let it dry, you fold it up and you roll it up and you smoke it, and that's taking away from its medicinal properties. That's going into something completely different. And there's another reason why, you know, we are so heavy against smoking, okay, especially this weed, especially the cannabis, because tobacco doesn't really get you high like that, but this weed, man, that THC, okay, it really takes, it really has a hallucinogenic effect on you people in the world. And the reason for that is because of pharmakias, which is basically sorcery, okay? Smoking weed and getting high off it, all these hallucinogens, all these different drugs that take care of your mental state, even alcohol and getting drunk, okay? These are sorceries, because in the past and even now to today, okay, to this day, okay, and of course I'll bring out an article going into that. People understand that these hallucinogenic drugs, okay, these hallucinations and getting high, getting messed up, losing your, moving out of a sober mind state. That's why the scriptures tell you, be ye sober, okay? Stay sober, stay in your right frame of mind, moving out of your right frame of mind, being under the influence of these drugs, okay, is a form of witchcraft. Okay, people still do that to this day. These witches that you see out there talking about Wicca and being witches, oh, drinking a little blood, just doing this, all these white girls talking about, oh, just doing this because it's in style right now. They mess with these drugs as well, okay? Because being in, this they use these drugs to communicate with their so-called idols, okay? And they use it to receive, basically someone demons communicate with demons and receive revelations from these demons, disguised as so-called idols, okay? But let's go into this, continuing on. Next sentence. It is also believed to be an absolute source of compassion, happiness, and liberation. Okay, that's the mindset that you have. That, oh, well, you need to take weed to calm down. You need to take these drugs to calm down, to relax. Because it helps you to relax or this and that. Okay, which of course that might actually be true. Okay, once again, concerning the medicinal properties of marijuana. Okay, starting on marijuana, cannabis. Okay, but the way that this world has used it has twisted this plant that the most high made as substance for medicine, okay, for your health. That's what we're going into here, okay? It's not supposed to be taken in order to get high, okay, but it's to be taken in order to improve your health. And since you people, we that are in this truth as well, and everybody in this world, in the world right now, don't have that knowledge anymore. The knowledge concerning its health benefits has been lost. It's better just to leave. It's better just to not even bother with it, because at the end of the day, the healing doesn't come from the herbs, but rather from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, as it's written. So continuing on, the fourth scripture of the Vedas Ganja is the five realms of herbs, which mitigates anxiety. Ganja has medical features and is consumed from cannabis plants. Eons ago, it's been used in spiritual and religious rites. There is no contradiction in the reality that Lord Shiva, okay, and this is how you know that this is one of those pagan Elamites, writing this article, is extremely connected to ganja. Let's find out the grounds beyond Shiva's consumption of ganja, weed, or cannabis. There's two varieties of tales linked to it. The first genre, Samudra Manthan, okay. This version of Lord Shiva and Bang tale is associated with Samudra Manthan. In course of Samudra Manthan, the gods and the divas and demons, Rakshas, agitated the ocean together to gain Amrita, i.e., nectar of immortality. Although one of the byproducts of this was poison, Vish, termed Hala, a well-known, most dangerous poison in the entire universe, whose fumes were competent in killing both demons and gods. In order to safeguard all, Lord Shiva drank the entire lethal poison. He was then later served Bang to endure fresh. And this article is the English. This article, the grammar is pretty bad. Brothers have actually gone into this. I know the brother from Salt Lake City. Okay, GMS Ancient Wine. He went into this as well. Okay, and and I've also done a video on this. I also going into this exact same thing. Okay, but once again, channel got deleted, so I have to re-up this video. And the reason I'm even going into this video like this is because the other one, Dr. Zagba, recently did a video going into the weed and going into a brother like that is having trouble stopping, like having trouble, to stop the smoking. Okay, and I decided that I know about the history concerning this, so let me just go into this again, bring it out again. Since I can't just re-upload the old video, so we're going into it once again. Few legends even profess that Lord Shiva shifted to Kailash mountain by the Lake Gaisakunda area post-episode of the Samudra Manthan. Lord Shiva's head was wrapped in with the Bilva Patra. So now you can see every single thing was done to cool Lord Shiva. Ganja is also considered to be the coolant. It slows down the body's metabolism and brings the entire body temperature down. Same in the case with ganja, bang. So you see that this, according to this story, okay. So basically, what happened is you had a war between gods and demons, and the war created this poison mist over the earth that could kill everything, both gods and demons. Funny how your god can die just by inhaling a little poison. But moving on, so this Shiva decided to inhale the poison, and he was about to be killed by the poison himself. That's how strong the gods of this Hindu are. Just let these Elamites, bowing to them and worshiping them and dying for them. Look up, Google Thuggies, okay? So anyway, continuing on, so they gave him this bang, which is the cannabis, and it's cooled him down and it's cured him, okay? So continuing on, Bang and Datura are closely connected with Lord Shiva as well. This is clearly the ground why Shiva isn't just connected with Bang, but it's truly well known, all embracing Lord of Bang or the Ganja. Okay, the second genre, as per legend, formerly Lord Shiva had an intense debate with his family. He drifted off in the farm where he slept beneath the plants of cannabis. When he woke up, was hungry, and so he took few cannabis. After its consumption, Shiva felt a rapid genesis of refreshment and rejuvenation. Therefore, this made him to adapt to the cannabis as his favored extravagance. And that's why you have these people out here they are eating the weed, they are smoking the weed, not to, so quote unquote, receive enlightenment, because you hear different excuses for why, these jigs out here. This is actually funny when you hear different excuses for why these jigs out here roll up. Oh, well, I roll up because why this and that, different stories, man. I don't even want to start going into it. This is making me think about my old days in university, man. Not a waste of time, just spending sleep. Anyway, my experiences aren't that important. So this is the last article I want to get, and this is the last article I want to get, and this is the one going into the smoking of weed, the smoking of marijuana, and smoking in general as a form of sorcery. In other words, pharmakeia. Okay. So what you have here is that they use this smoking solely to perform these sorceries, in other words, to get high. And then you have some of these people out here, these wacky tacky Christians, or these wacky tacky Christians, or these Israelites that come out here and say, oh well, drinking is actually a sin too, since you can get drunk, but there's a difference, okay? The Most High made wine, made alcohol to be taken, in that way, because even the scriptures tell you that wine was made, okay, to basically for the pleasure of both God and let me just get that, because because I'll die on this hill, man. Okay, I'll die on this hill, okay, because I might be a younger brother, but I like that yayan, that wine, okay. So let's get this. So this is the book of Judges 9, verse 12. I'll start from verse 12. Judges 9, verse 12. Then set the trees onto the wine, onto the vine, Salakia. I got that wine in the head now, Salakia. But Judges 9 verse 12. Then set the trees onto the vine. Come thou and reign over us. And the vine said unto them, Shall I leave my wine, which cherisheth the Most High, which cherisheth God and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? Okay. And basically, that's all I wanted to get about that. Drinking wine is perfectly scriptural, because wine is talking about alcoholic, okay? Alcohol. Before you start saying that, oh, well, that's actually going into non alcoholic wine, non fermented wine. But that's a different video, okay? If anybody believes that, wine isn't supposed to be drunk alcoholic, just put a comment down and make another video going into it. To continue on, how cannabis is applied in pagan and shamanic rituals. And this is going into the second part of why you should not be smoking out here, because not only is it a form of pagan worship, but it is also a form of witchcraft, pharmakeia. Okay, now let's get that word pharmakeia, because I'm just saying it pharmacy etim. Okay, and this is why we also say that you shouldn't be using these. This is why we also push in Great Millstone that you shouldn't be using all these drugs that Esau gives you, because it's the exact same thing, okay? These drugs are, all these drugs have those hard drugs in them, okay? So you got your coca, okay? Your heroin, okay? Your meth, okay? All the base, the coca, the base, okay? The amphetamines, all of them inside those drugs to slowly put your body in that dependent state. And the brother from Italy goes into this as well. It slowly builds up your dependence to those drugs, okay? So your body can only function if you're taking them. And that's why how the current pharmaceutical and medical system works. It works of that same logic, okay? Using sorceries to get you dependent on these things, okay? So continuing on, pharmacist, a druggist, apothecary, one skilled in pharmacy. Okay, this is pharmacist, not pharmacy. Anyway, this is pharmacist. Let me get pharmacist. Okay, pharmacy. Pharmacia, a medicine that rids the body of an excess of humors except blood. Treatment with medicine, theory of treatment with medicine. And directly from medieval Latin pharmakia, from Greek pharmakia, meaning a healing or harmful medicine, a healing or poisonous herb, a drug, poison potion, magic potion, dye, raw material for physical or chemical processing. So basically, okay, that's why you hear brothers always say this, that all the things that you eat in this kingdom are drugs, okay, because they're all chemicals, all processed. So basically, they're all drugs, okay. And when you talk about pharmacy, you're not just talking about healing healing chemicals, it's also talking about harmful chemicals. So on one hand, Esau gives you chemicals that can heal you, quote unquote, because you don't really get healed. What happens is that your symptoms get, basically basically what these drugs do is they turn off your body's they turn off your body's sensors to it's like I don't know how to put it, but basically they make your body stop giving you the symptoms of your bad health, okay, in order to so-called cure you of that disease. But if you get malaria and you take these drugs, the malaria is still in you, okay. It's just that it's in a weakened state because you know it basically changed you basically turned off all the symptoms that your body gives you concerning that malaria. The same thing with all the drugs in this kingdom. It doesn't really attack the disease, but rather attacks the symptoms, okay? But anyway, what this is going into is like just like it reads right here, the pharmacies, unless it's going into something completely different, okay, talking about, the I'm not really going to go into that, okay. I'm going to that video is in my Odyssey channel, okay. Same GMS Nigeria 144. That video is in my Odyssey channel, okay? Because you can't put that kind of video on YouTube. Let me just stop there before Esau, starts getting any ideas. But let's just focus on this article right here, how cannabis is applied in pagan and shamanic rituals. And you see that the word pharmacy, pharmakia, means sorcery, okay, magic potions, and basically how this is sorcery, how just simply smoking weed is sorcery is because once again, conjuring demons, summoning demons, communicating with demons, receiving visions, receiving enlightenment, receiving information from these demons. When you communicate with them and you smoke these when you smoke these materials and you get high off them, okay. So this sin is both the smoking and the getting high off them, because people will say, oh well, if I can't smoke weed to get high, I can eat weed and get high off it. No, okay. If you are getting high, if you are getting in that state where you are not sober, that is a sin against Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because it goes back to sorcery, and because even the scriptures tell you that you must be sober, be vigilant, especially in the times that we're in. How can you even be thinking about getting high in these times, man? But anyway, continuing on. And this is the article. We've all heard that cannabis has been around for thousands of years and used as an entheogen, a psychoactive substance used in a religious or spiritual context. In the past, while we have already looked at world religions and groups that embrace the entheogenic use of cannabis, there are questions still unanswered, such as how one can use and benefit from ancient practices in modern days, especially when they may not prescribe to these groups. According to the journal Neuroquantology, shamanic and pagan cultures incorporate cannabis spiritually to ponder religious and philosophical subjects relevant to them, enter a state of enlightenment, make discoveries of mind and subconscious, and even use cannabis as an aphrodisiac. These uses all point to the efficacy of cannabis as a holistic remedy rather than just a recreational or medicinal substance. Cannabis and witchcraft. Stacy B, who goes by Stace, and this is just going into some other dumb shit. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. So now you get the point, okay? You get the reason why you get the origins of smoking, where it comes from, okay? You get the origins of even the cannabis and the weed and the smoking of that and the usage of that to and where it comes from. You get the practice of using drugs to get high and where they come from as well. Because all of this, as the scriptures say, there is no new thing under the sun, okay? Because Jikas, people have been getting high all the way back to the Roman Empire, man. People have been getting high all the way back to, even in, even before, even after the garden, okay. People have been doing that, using drugs all the way back, okay. And the way that they use these drugs have changed, especially, it's all been done all throughout history, okay. That's why the scriptures speak against it, okay, because it's against Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And there was actually a priest I wanted to get, so let me get this one first, which is to the good. I believe that's how it goes. To the good, all things are goodly, or is it pure? I can't remember, but we are still going to get it anyway. To the good, all things are goodly. Slack, yeah. Well, let me find it. Fine, let me get this one instead. So let me get this. This is the book of Titus 1, verse 15. Unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and their conscience is defiled. They profess that they know the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. And I was quoting this precept before: to the pure all things are pure, okay, because there is a righteous way to use, these different drugs, okay, these different substances that are being smoked, which is your tobacco, your cannabis. There are righteous ways to use them because they do have medicinal properties. Okay, tobacco roots are very medicinal. Okay, the same thing with the leaves, the roots of cannabis, they are medicinal as well, right? But it is not, drying them up, pounding it up and smoking it. Okay, that's not how to use these man. That's not how to use these substances, because you see now why, smoking of them, why the smoking of them is wicked. Okay, why using them to get high, using them as a drug to get high, using them for recreationally is wicked. Okay, so now we get this as well. Okay, let me see how I forgot now we include, but basically fire, water, honey, wine, so on and so forth. All these were made from, here it is. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 39, verse 26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All things are for good to the goodly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. That's basically what I is going into. Just because something is being used predominantly for wickedness in this kingdom does not mean that the Most High put it on the earth just to be used for that, okay? There are righteous ways to use things. There is a righteous way to burn incense, the correct way to burn incense to Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. That doesn't involve, inhaling said incense. Okay, there is a proper way to use these herbs. Okay, tobacco and cannabis doesn't involve, the wickedness that it is being used for in this kingdom. Because right now, when you speak about tobacco and you speak about cannabis or weed, the first thing that everybody associates it with is the smoking of it, that, oh, it's only good for smoking. What you don't understand is that you can use that for its medicinal benefits, for its health benefits. And that's why the scriptures say in Ecclesiasticus 39, verse 27, all things are good for the godly, all things are for good to the godly, and so to the sinners they are turned into evil. And in the kingdom they will get their righteous properties back. Okay, they will be used properly and in righteousness. Okay, they will be used wholly to the full of their abilities and not for the wickedness they are currently being used for. Okay, so with that, I hope to end it. I'm ending this video right here. So through the Spirit, I hope you are coming, you are quite edified. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Bahasham Recha Kodash, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom.